poppin' T Squad? It's me, Keisha, and I'm here with tonight's All Tea, All Shade P Valley Season 2, Episode 5 review. So, we start off tonight's episode with a big change. They actually did a narration this episode with Cliff narrating the episode, which I thought was so cute and a dope idea because tonight's episode was all about Mississippi and us learning her backstory on how she became who she is today. And so in present time, they're at the club. It's Mississippi's night. She's taking the stage. Murder's not performing. It's all about her. They got legendary strippers, Gigi McGuire, Miami Tip, Jessica Dime in the place, as well as Jocelyn, who is the headliner, pretty much the big star outside of the other ladies in Mississippi. And so she's in the back getting ready, and Rome is on the phone trying to close this deal for her to have her own lace front wig line. And apparently the deal has gone through. He tells Keyshawn, and she's just super excited. You know what I'm saying? She got her braids to the back. She's getting ready for the night. And, you know, hair has always been a big thing for her that we find out about in tonight's episode. So he shows her some of the wigs that were brought in for her from this wig company. And he's showing her all these colors, red, blue, and green, and all this shit. She was like, ghetto. And he was like, well, you ain't never wore this. And he picked out a blonde wig. And she was like, that's too light for my skin complexion. You know, she has a really big issue with her being chocolate skin and feeling like certain colors just don't look right on her skin complexion, which is something that I've heard so many girls that are chocolate say about themselves. And I'm like, girl, you can wear whatever the fuck you want to wear. So he then goes on to tell her that he's added on 2 more weeks of the Dirty Dozen too. And she like, Rome, I can't do that. I got to go home. I got to go see my kids. He was like, look, girl, I done already talked to little Justin Bieber, honey. Everything is going to be fine. Okay. Justin Timberlake is okay. He already gave me the approval. Now, you know, he gave the approval because he ain't working and they need the money. That's the only reason why he would allow her to still be out there on the road. So she's still feeling some type of way because, you know, she want to go home to her kids. And Rome was like, look, I got you. I'm going to get you out of this situation, talking about with her and Derek, because he knows that, you know, things ain't as good as home as she portrays. And, you know, he knows that this man is over there beating on her. So Uncle Clifford in his narration says, you know, a girl ain't ready to be saved until she good and ready. And I was like, truer words have never been spoken. A woman or anybody ain't gonna leave a situation until they themselves are ready. You can tell a person until you blue in the face, but until they finally have had enough, they're not gonna leave. And I never understood that until I was in that situation myself. So then we see Murder and Teak rolling up in the club. Of course, Murder feeling some type of way because he ain't performing. Once again, you know, Mississippi is taking over everything. And him and Teak get to arguing back and forth because, you know, things are still very much strained between them after Murder found Clifford's postcard. So Jocelyn then makes her grand entrance, honey. She flies into the venue and performs Do It Like It's My B-Day. And she shouts out Gigi and Miami Tip and Jessica Dime. And I wonder what that was like on set. Because, you know, she didn't get along with Dime. I don't think her and Tip ever had any problems, if I can remember, and I've never heard of her having any issues with Gigi McGuire. But I wonder how that was on set for everybody. Like, was there any tension? Did the girls get along? I wish I was there. I need some behind the scenes footage on that. And I really think that was so dope that Katori Hall and the powers that be paid homage to those girls, especially Gigi McGuire, who is one of the baddest to ever do it. Like, her video of her retirement party is still one of the best fucking dances ever. She wilded the fuck out. I never got to see Miami tip dance, but I've heard, that she goes crazy. Dime made a big name for herself. Jocelyn at one point made a big name for herself. But as far as dancing, I gotta give it up to Gigi McGuire. She's on that WeTV show, Beyond the Pole as well, and she's on the podcast with Angela Yee. So she been out here doing her damn thing, and I just thought that was so dope that they paid homage to that. Now I just like the fact that with P Valley they pay homage period to the culture. Last week we had the girls from the Bella Noches, and then this week we got them having the strippers from Atlanta in the house. I just think that it's so dope. That's why I love this show, and I think that's why everybody else loves it as well. So Mississippi comes out and performs because Jocelyn is like, we gonna give each other our flowers now. Mississippi performs. She does the damn thing. And then we get a flashback to find out exactly where Keyshawn comes from. And they do a flashback with her being in high school. She's a cheerleader, or she's trying out for cheer, and she's in one of the holds or whatever. She can't hold it. She ends up falling. People are laughing. She's embarrassed. You see that she's one of very little black people around. It's just a sea of white people. Gidget goes to her school. Gidget seems like she might be the cheer captain. So we see exactly how long her and Gidget have been friends. And lo and behold, guess who is on the cheer squad? Derek. Derek is one of the male cheerleaders, and he helps her up or whatever. And she looking up into them ice blue eyes, and she is just smitten kitten, honey. That kitten was purring, child. And he's like her white savior right out the gate. And I was like, so this how this shit started. He was saving her ass from the beginning. So we then see another girl step up. She was like, I can do the move. As a matter of fact, I can do the move times 2. Okay. And it's this light-skinned girl. And I was like, okay, now we're getting more in depth of, okay, the chocolate girl couldn't do it. She wasn't good enough, but the light-skinned girl not only showed her up, but did even better. And she's so pretty, and everybody's clamoring over her. So therein sets this trauma for Keyshawn of not feeling good enough. Then at some point, she's sitting on the bench, and one of the football players who's black tries to holler at her, but she's ignoring him. He was like, shit, ain't nobody trying to talk to you, no way. You need to get out the sun or whatever. You gonna look like a burnt chicken nugget or some shit. Motherfuckers like to, make fun of your skin complexion, all of that shit. Derek comes over, was like, leave her alone. Dude was like, what the fuck you gonna do, white boy or whatever. Derek tries to walk away. Dude ends up spitting on his back, and then Derek turns into the Tasmanian devil, child. And all of the KKK came up out that nigga, and he commits to beating that boy's ass. The other dudes try to help the football player dude. They get their ass beat. I felt like I was watching Money in the Bank from WWE, which by the way came on tonight, and I can't wait to watch it. But that should have showed Mississippi right there and there. She ain't had no business fucking with that crazy motherfucker. He beat up 4 niggas in the span of 2 minutes. Oh yeah, girl, he is crazy. Obviously he don't like black people. She should have known then. But that white savior complex then kicked in on her ass. And so after that, she sees that she did not make the team, and of course she's disappointed. And we realize that the light-skinned girl was actually her sister, her stepsister or whatever. So there's already this built-in like competition between the two. So Derek compliments her and was like, if you would have stuck with it, you probably would have made the team, and this, that, and the third or whatever. And that chemistry is already building towards them. So then we see Keyshawn at home. She lives in a beautiful mansion. She comes from money. Her daddy is very successful, and she's at home straightening her 2 stepsisters' hair on some Cinderella shit. They have long hair down their back, and the stepmother constantly talks about their long hair. And so that's where this whole hair obsession comes from that we saw when she was in the crib talking to her daughter about how her daughter is going to have such long, pretty hair, and how she wished growing up that she had long, pretty hair, because her stepmother ingrained in her head that her hair wasn't good enough, the texture wasn't good enough, all of this type of stuff. So Keyshawn is so focused on the stepmother and her hatred for her ass that she ends up burning her sister's hair. Of course, the mama goes the fuck off You done messed up her crown and glory, her beauty, and unlike you, she don't need a weave and all of this, that, and the third. And that furthers her obsession with wigs and weave because it gives her the illusion of having this long hair that she's always wanted and never was able to achieve or have. And so we then see her sister Alicia. She's pretty, she's popular, all the boys want to holler at her, and she is invisible compared to her two sisters. And she's at the lunch table with her sister Veronica and Alicia and Gidget, and they talk about how Chucalissa High has become, more, integrated with black children or whatever that go to the school, and how the upcoming dance that's coming up is separate because, the white parents don't like that all these black kids are starting to come to the school. So they've separated the white kids so they can have their own dance. And then, the black kids had a dance at the school. So Veronica ends up calling out her sister Alicia for sucking dick because it's written all over the walls and shit. And I was looking at the sister like, I see you, bitch, because she sure didn't deny it. And then as Keyshawn is walking home from school, it's raining, and Derek catches her walking home in the rain and picks her up, and they end up going to Taffy's and having bacon cheese fries, and they're sitting there talking and everything, and she notices that he has a bruise on his face, and so he lies and says that it came from when he was at cheer practice. And he then goes on to say that his father thought that he was gay when he started doing cheerleading, but how he got, a scholarship for it and how he's doing really well for himself. And I was like, okay, so this says a lot of what's going on for Derek at home. His father thinks that he's gay, probably was trying to beat the gay out of him, probably taunts him, calls him faggots and this, that, and the third. You weak, you a punk who does cheerleading. So he's getting traumatized and abused at home. That was already a given right then and there. So he ends up calling her beautiful, and she doesn't hear that often, so that just warmed her whole heart, child. Then here come Patrice, baby. Patrice was a goddamn waitress at Taffy's, and she was like, what you want to order? And Keyshawn was like, I want another order of bacon cheese fries. She was like, I know you gonna order more than that because he sure in the fuck got the money, honey. You better charge what you worth. And I was like, yes, Patrice, it's a one time I liked your ass. So she also mentioned that they on a date, and so Keyshawn was like, we're not on a date. And then she was like, are we on a date? And he was like, if we were on a date, I would not bring you to Taffy's. I would take you, to this restaurant. I would do this, that, and the third. And Keyshawn looks around the restaurant and notices all the black people there. Really no white people. And she was like, but would you ever take me home? And he didn't respond, which let her know, should have let her know right then and there, this shit ain't got no legs for real, child. Yeah, he over here kicking it with you in black folks land, but is he gonna kick it with you for real over there in his neck of the woods? I know. So then we see the girls at home getting ready for Christmas, and Veronica and Alicia asked their mama how she was able to pull Keyshawn's father James, and she was like, I was a stewardess on a plane and I just served him a drink. And Keyshawn was like, oh, don't forget to mention that you served his wife too. So when she met Keyshawn's father, he was married to her mother. And so the mom was like, you don't know everything, like it's complicated pretty much. And Keyshawn and her get the arguing back and forth. The mama throw fucking mashed potatoes at her, and all I could think about in this scene was the whole thing with 3LW and how Notori said that they threw chicken on her and mashed potatoes and all of that shit. So they get to having a food fight and shit. And next thing we see later on that night is Keyshawn in her room overhearing her stepmother and father arguing because the stepmama want her to go live with her ghetto ass mama because she act just like her ghetto ass mama. Because Keyshawn was like, I might be bougie, but don't think I won't pull the Beretta on your ass. And she couldn't even say it right. She was so fucking weak. I was cracking up. So now we learned that, Keyshawn actually came from money, came from a good neighborhood, went to, a really good school and all of this stuff. And the choices that she made is what ended her up where she is now. So then we go back to present day, and Jocelyn tells Keyshawn that, you gonna make it. Like, you're gonna make it because your belly hungry. And Keyshawn was like, it is. And Jocelyn was like, girl, bitch, it's a metaphor. You dumbass. That shit was funny. So then it's the day of the dance, and Keyshawn in her pajamas pretty much eating cereal because nobody asked her to the dance, and she feels like nobody asked the dark-skinned girl to the dance. Her sister, of course, got dates and all of this stuff. And so Clifford in the narration was like, she didn't even realize how bad of a bitch she was. Like, she didn't even realize her own worth back then. And so the daddy, oblivious to his daughter's feelings, asks her to take pictures of him with the girls. And she, takes the picture, and she's, admiring Alicia and Veronica, jealous, envious. And Clifford says in his narration that pretty comes with pretty problems. And we see the father give Alicia a kiss on the temple. And I'm wondering, like, is something going on here? Is the daddy touching on her, fucking with her? What is going on here? It was something very like, put me on pause that the daddy might be fucking with the Alicia, because she was like, when he kissed her, and she just looked very uncomfortable. So I think the daddy was flirting with her, touching on her, doing something. And yeah, I wonder, is that going to be explored more because like, where's the father now? Is he still alive? Like, what's going on? I want to know what's going on with that, because I got a hunch, but I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So then out of nowhere, Derek arrives with a full outfit for her and everything suited and booted. He is taking her to the prom. She gets dressed, and he takes her to the white folks dance. Now, mind you, she like the only black person there. They all looking at her like, where this nigga going? Derek, at some point, they're under the mistletoe and he goes to kiss her. And then this older white woman looking at him like, you better motherfucking not. You better motherfucking not, nigga. No, you better not. So they end up leaving, and Keyshawn makes mention about the lady that was, basically on them all night. And he was like, yeah, that was my mama. And she was like, oh my God, like, I did not know that was your mama. And so Derek was like, she cool or whatever. He was like, but my daddy, though, he got a bite that'll make you beg for the bark. And that's when she realizes that the bruise on his face did not come from cheerleading. It actually came from his father. And there goes the sympathy. And I know back in the day, you guys, I was the girl that fell for the wounded bird type of dude. The dude that I felt like I needed to save and love on and show him how good of a person he was and all of that type of stuff. And Keyshawn, sure enough, falls for it too, and that's like brings her even more into his orbit, that he protected her. He's giving her the Cinderella treatment, and now she feels like she needs to uplift him and love on him because he's going through things. Then all of a sudden it starts to snow. It doesn't really snow in Mississippi, so she is having a ball. They end up having sex in the backseat of the car. He said it was his first time. She didn't say whether or not it was hers, though. I noticed that. But they end up smashing, and she ends up returning home after curfew and finds her stepmother sitting out waiting, drinking. She drunk and shit. You could tell she been crying. And the other daughters haven't even made it home yet. And the mama makes a comment about, her dress and how it looked like it was like custom made for her. And she was like, yeah, it doesn't. And the stepmom was like, but you ain't get to pick it though. She said, be careful of becoming a man's Barbie doll. He'll always find another one to buy. And that made me think, like, obviously the daddy's cheating on the stepmother. Now she's being replaced just like Keyshawn's mother was replaced by her. Now I'm wondering, is the person that was replacing her is her daughter? Cause I'm like, the way he kissed her on that temple, and Alicia like, ugh, you know what I'm saying? I'm like wondering, does the mama know something going on and she just gonna keep quiet because she wants the lifestyle that the father is able to provide? I want more clarity on this, Katori. I want an update in present time to see what's going on with the daddy and the stepmama and Alicia. What's the vibe? What's the tea? What's going on, ma'am? So, of course, Keyshawn does not take heed to what this woman is telling her, because she's telling her, be careful of men that basically want to control everything about you. Like when you don't get a say so, because when they get tired of you, they will find somebody else. But she does not listen. So we go back to present day, and the crew is in the hotel room celebrating. Keyshawn got money everywhere. Keyshawn, like, Big T get one of these strawberries. He was like, nah, I'm good. And Murder was like, you want one? He was like, nigga, I don't want one. I was like, calm down, Tiger. Calm down. So Keyshawn and Wody talking with each other in their eyes like, these niggas is fucking. So Teak leaves out the room mad. Murder was like, let me go see what's wrong. And Wody was like, he might need to get him a bitch. And then Murder looked at him like, excuse you? And he was like, well, or not. Realizing that, oh, this shit is more serious than the fuck I thought. So Rome ends up giving Murder and them keys to their hotel rooms that he was able to cop for them. But he also tells them that they can't come to the after party with Jocelyn. And he feels like he done did more than enough for these niggas at this point. Like, he carrying them. So Teak looking like, nigga, I don't need this motherfucking room. Fuck you. I'll go sleep in the hearse. And so he throw the keys back at him. And Rome like, shit, all right, bet. Like, you ain't hurting me none. So everybody leaves the room except for Wody and Keyshawn. And Wody tells Keyshawn that, I don't like your hair. And she was like, excuse me, like what, nigga? Like, who asked you? He was like, I mean, I much rather like the hair that you have on your head that's growing out of your scalp. And nobody's ever told her that or uplifted her in that manner where she could understand that she's enough. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Wody is going to be a good influence on Keyshawn. And remember, I told you guys that this tour is going to be all about Keyshawn finding herself, finding her voice, and getting the courage to finally stand up for herself and to leave Derek behind. So we then go back to the past, and Keyshawn is 8 months pregnant, living in this shitty ass house with Derek, complaining about the bibs that his mama bought for the baby. And she was like, I mean, shit, about time she did something, because the bitch pretty much ain't did shit else. Like, and he was like, Keyshawn, like, she's trying. And she was like, she trying out, but my father was the one that got us this duplex. Like, they ain't want to fuck with us in the beginning. So Derek was like, you need to be quiet, Keyshawn. He was warning her, and she keeps on going off at the mouth. And he then snaps on her and was like, I knew I shouldn't have put my dick in you, and now I'm stuck in this situation taking care of some backwoods bitch. And she was like, I'm taking care of you. I'm the one that's working overnight at Walgreens, 8 months pregnant. And that nigga snapped out and choked the dog shit out of her while she was pregnant. And while he's choking her, he's giving her one of them Ike talks, like Ike gave Tina. He was like, I blame you for this shit. It's all your motherfucking fault. My parents disowned me. This is your fault. You need to be working at Walgreens and putting gas in my Prius, bitch. It's your motherfucking fault, bitch. And I'm like, God damn, this nigga is truly crazy. And so Clifford in his narration was like, we always think that the first time will be the last time, and we have hope and all of this stuff, and it doesn't work out that way. So Keyshawn ended up going to Rome's room. She's ready to go to Jocelyn's little after party or whatever. She got the bag of money and everything, her change of clothes, and he tells her that the wig deal didn't go through and that he got another deal for her with some platform pleasers. And she was like, like, I'm more than a stripper. Like, I really wanted to do the hair thing because we already know how much hair means to her. And so he was like, just try them on and see how you feel. So then he was like, go try it on in the bathroom with your floss. So she goes in the bathroom, tries it on or whatever. And then this nigga walk in there with his phone, snapping a picture of her, either doing a video, and he got his Versace robe open, and she turned around like, what the fuck is you doing? And he got this little Peter Weeder sitting out, and she was like, wrong, like, dude, like, you tripping. So he was basically like, I done did a lot for you, and like, you need to do something for me now. And she was like, oh, so now I owe you. And he was like, bitch, yeah. So she turns him down and was like, no, I'm not doing it. So he then shows her a video of Lil Murda and Big T fucking. So obviously he planted a camera or something in their room so he could finally find out what's the tea. And now he has something over Lil Murda and them that can ruin Murda's career. So he then goes to try to rape her. He pulls her top. She's fighting him off. She ends up hitting him and is able to run out the room. And then next thing we know, we see her banging on a door. And then we go back to past tense in the past, and we see her banging on her father's door, pregnant in her nightgown. The stepmother comes to the door, and she was like, I ain't got no place to go. And the mama was like, well, you can't come here. You can't come here every time shit go wrong in your relationship. You got to grow up. And she was like, but what my daddy say? And the stepmom was like, your daddy agreed. Your daddy agreed, and she was like, go home, Keyshawn. And go home she did. Now, I want to know, did the daddy really say that, or was it just the stepmother speaking for him? I really want to know about that. So we then see in present day, she's at Wodie's room, and she tells Wodie that, Rome tried to rape her and try to fuck on her and how stupid she feels. And then she goes on to tell him that, he has footage of Murder Antique. So he looking like, fuck, I gotta handle this shit, because nah, this nigga's not about to ruin this shit for us. And so at this point, Keyshana's like, I want to go home. Remember, the stepmother told her to go home. So when things happen, I guess that's her safe place, or she just wants to go home. You know what I'm saying? Because she feels unsafe now. So we then see her returning home, and in the narration, we hear Uncle Cliff say, where are the good fathers when you need them? Where are good men that love and protect you? Unbeknownst to her, Wodie is there to love and protect her, because he's going to handle a part of this situation for her. But she returns. Then we go back to her past, and we see her return home the next morning to flowers all over the baby's room. And Derek comes in and was like, I'm gonna be better than him. I'm gonna be better than my daddy. It'll never happen again. And he's crying, and he gets on his knees, and she was like, baby, I know, baby. And we see her right then and there swallowing all of her pride and saying, I'm gonna give this a chance. He loves me. This is gonna be better. He's not gonna do this again. All the things that women tell themselves. And I think she even knew deep down inside then that things were not going to get better. So then in present day, she returns home, and she goes to pick up her son Jalen, and he's like scooting away from her and stuff, and she was like, okay, this nigga had the nerve to give her something to eat, child. Derek, this nigga gave her a hot dog. No ketchup, no mustard, no pickle relish, no nothing. I'm like, she been working her ass off to come home to a motherfucking hot dog, bitch. I would have left him right then and there. Girl, you got me fucked to the up. So he's telling her about this job interview he's going on. He excited, thinking that he gonna get the shit. And she looking like, okay, nigga, whatever. So Keyshawn tries to pick up Jaden again. He acting different. She like, what's wrong with him? And he was like, I don't know. So she was like, something ain't right. So she looking like, And then next thing we know, we see her at the doctor's office. And the doctor puts his arm back in place and says that he had a dislocated elbow or some shit like that. And then one of the nurses sees that the baby got bruises all on his back. And I'm like, fuck, this man was over there beating on the baby boy. Lord Jesus. So she goes home. And I just knew when she first walked through that door that she was about to go put that baby down and pull out a gun and blow that nigga head off. But they didn't do it like that. So she puts the baby in his room, and then she confronts him about dislocating the little boy's arm. He was like, I didn't do that. At first he denies it. Then she shows him the doctor's paper. And he was like, okay, I whooped him. He's getting spanked. Okay, and she was like, look, you can beat me, but you won't be beating my kids. And Derek was like, he needs to be disciplined and this, that, and the third. And she steady going off or whatever, like he's 3 years old, like you didn't have no business hitting him. So Derek tell her to fade back, like I'm trying to go to this interview, get the fuck out my face. And she was like, you could be so much better than your father. You are not your father. He was like, Keyshawn, shut the fuck up. And he was like, I'm trying to go to this fucking interview. And she was like, you ain't gonna fucking get it no way. And I was like, girl, unless you prepared to box, bitch, on some UFC type shit, I don't think you should have said that. And she wasn't ready, obviously, because that nigga bing bopped her in the motherfucking face, and her whole mouth got the bleeding and shit. And he then grabs her by the hair, dragging her on the floor, very reminiscent of Bernadine, child. She's screaming, the baby's hollering, and she trying to get away. He pull her back, he slam her up against the wall, her mouth is bleeding, and then he grabs the hot iron and pulls it towards her face. And she's like, Derek, no, not my face, anywhere else but not my face, because that's her money maker, child. And he just holding it to her face, and she's scared for her life. And he comes to his senses and put it down, and then he's screaming and berating her in the background, saying, it's your fault, this is all your motherfucking fault, you made me do this, y'all getting on my nerves. And she just falls to the ground crying. And I'm like, oh my God, I just knew tonight's episode was going to be the episode episode where she finally got the courage to leave, but obviously that hasn't happened yet. But I do feel like in this season, we're going to see Keyshawn finally get the courage enough to leave him, because I think after what happens with Rome, that's going to give her more confidence to know that she can take care of herself. I think what's going to end up happening, I'm going to do a prediction that by episode 9, that will be the episode where Keyshawn finally leaves Derek, and she can't have anybody else hurt him or anything like that, because she has to do it on her own. I think that Derek is going to be one of the big deaths this season. I think she's going to end up having to kill him herself to get away from him, because she's just not going to be able to leave and that be that. She's going to have to kill that motherfucker. And then maybe that'll be the way for us to see his family come into the picture about where the fuck is our son? Where the hell did he go? But yeah, I'm going to predict that by episode 9, Keyshawn is going to have to finally put her foot down. I think that she's going to plan an exit plan. And episode 9 is going to be when she's going to execute it, and they're going to have a fight to the death, bitch, and she going to have to kill that nigga. So then we see Wody go to the after party with Rome. Everybody in that motherfucking strippers, everybody fucking and shit. And Wody asks to speak to Rome one-on-one. And so he gives Rome a vial of Coke. And so Rome was like, oh, this better be that premium shit. He was like, shit, no doubt. So then he looking like, motherfuckers, you trying to set me up? He was like, you take a sniff. So Wody was like, shit, all right. So he bends down and pretends like he took a sniff out of that line. I think his hand might have brushed that line away. Yeah, that's how he did it. He brushed that line away with his hand and actually took a sniff of one of the other lines that was actual Coke. So then Rome feels confident enough to then sniff the shit. So he sniff it, he do 2 lines or whatever, and he start tripping. He start, feeling weird and shit. And Wody was like, you ever seen somebody die wrong? And I was like, Wody. So he was like, how you want to be buried? And Rome like, the fuck is you talking about? So he's fading. His eyes is turning bloodshot red. He coughing. He can't breathe. And he's slowly dying. And so Wody was like, where is the movie? He was like, what movie? He was like, I know everything Keyshawn told me. He never finds out, though, where the movie is, which I found odd. Like, how is he just gonna go back to the dude room and confiscate everything that was in his room? Like, I guess we're gonna find that out on next week's episode. But he shows Rome what he actually sniffed, and it was fentanyl. And y'all know fentanyl is a deadly drug. It kills you instantly. Everybody that has been using, most of the deaths have been fentanyl related, and Rome is RIP. He ends up falling out on a glass table and dying. And that was the end of the episode. Phenomenal episode 5. It was really, really good to see Keyshawn's backstory, to learn more about her and Derek and Gidget and this family of hers that we haven't gotten a chance to see yet. Happy to see Rome go. Happy to see Rome dead. I'm actually happy that we got to see Wody step up and take care of shit on his own and ride for his partner, because he does believe in murder and what murder can be. It was good to see, like I said, Jocelyn and all the girls. That was really dope. It was a really good, poignant episode. Really, really good. A really good example of domestic violence. Anybody out there that is in a domestic violence situation, find the best way to get out of it immediately. Tell your family, tell somebody, get help. Tough love, hard love, abusive love is not love. Love is not a battlefield. And that is more than a song by Pat Benatar. I love you guys so much. Make sure to thumbs up this video, like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell button, you guys. I will see you on the next video. Bye.